Welcome to The Full Experience. This is the show that watches but 4 episodes of any given television series in order to see if we can catch the flavor of the entire run of that series. We watch the first, the ultimate, the lowest, and the last. We are in the middle of our journey to enjoy Speed Racer, watching the lowest rated episode on IMDb, Season 1, Episode 34, The Race for Life, which is sometimes referred to as Episode 33. If you're using Amazon, I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, but the important part is, goodness. Tom, I had high hopes for the beginning of this one, because one of the things that we notice in The Full Experience is every so often the lowest rated episode of an entire series is lowest rated because it's the one that was most audaciously trying something unusual. And I thought for a second that this would be one of those episodes. Instead, it's one of those episodes where it's the lowest rated because it is the most cliched version of the thing. It's what people who don't understand Speed Racer think Speed Racer is. And it's like,
yes. And you know, I forgot to mention January 12th, 1968 is when this first aired. So, you know, let's note that for the record.
Sure,
this is not a recent episode. My problems with this episode are not era dependent though. Supercharged Formula One, not a lot of dialogue. There was some showing, not telling. I'll give it that. You know, there was some visual storytelling. But the Mach 5 landed on a raft and has feet and saws. Not that that's bad.
So let me tell you.
It was slow and predictable. I think that was my problem with this. And I didn't have an issue with any particular thing other than the pacing. And I knew exactly where it was going and it went there.
On paper, there's a lot of things they did exactly right. The opening with real stakes, a person appearing to be killed over a magic MacGuffin box that has something called the serum. I'm like, oh my God, a mystery box right at the beginning, real stakes. We're in an exotic location. We see a reimagining of the Mach 5 as a whatever type of race car that was. I was here for all of on paper, the various set pieces, exploring a different culture, you know, seeing, was it Mexico or Spain or what was,
it was, in fact, Dominic, South America.
Got it. Dominic, South America, as viewed through the lens of Japanese artists or whatever. On paper, these are all great things. A set piece in which the Mach 5 is on the water. Can it become a submarine? I don't know. Kind of halvesies, I guess. But ultimately, this failed because of one thing: pacing.
Yeah.
The pacing was too luxurious. I think this would have been a great 15-minute episode.
It was really slow in the first half. It did pick up in the second a little bit. I thought it was cool to see the Mach 5 tech like you're talking about. I thought the little fake out where Spritel had the serum was at least interesting. You know, it didn't shock me or surprise me, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's not just, you know, totally on rails. I did note that the character was called Francisco Franco at a time when Spanish dictator Francisco Franco was still alive.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure if that was just kind of unaware, like, the leader of Spain's called Franco. We'll just call him Franco. Also, you just get to take over as there's no election for the mayor in this town. Just, you know, if somebody dies and you're the biggest guy on the block, you get to be mayor next.
This was nearly 100 years ago, Tom.
I suppose so. Also, he just burns the village. That was a little random. Yeah, I don't know. We also finished with a slip and fall. Did you catch that?
No, to be honest, I really fell off at the end. I try to give all the shows their due. This one, you can fairly ding Brian Brushwood for completely losing interest in the last 4 minutes.
My last note is I really couldn't wait for it to end.
Yep. I am so right with you.
Like you said, there's some interesting elements, and on paper, it's a decent concept. This one they did not execute, and I think it deserves its 5.6 out of 10 rating.
Well, and keep in mind also that it did the thing that if I were to unfairly make a cartoon explanation of what Speed Racer is, it's a bunch of nonsense set pieces without any kind of connective tissue. And then.
Yeah. And
that's
car does
literally
fun
what this
thing.
was.
Car go fast. Car
Right.
be like this. And they did that too. Yeah.
And I guess it was all the more painful because the opening had enough promise that I thought something really cool could happen. But
Yeah. At first I was just.
they were even playing with themes of jealousy, which I thought was interesting. Like, ooh, a little love triangle thing.
Yeah. And at first I just thought it was a little slow and, you know, a little simple with like Dominic, South America, because you didn't want to pick an actual country. Like, okay, that's fine. I was fine with it. I was charmed by that, but then it was just too slow. So yeah, unfortunately I don't have a whole lot more to add to that.
Yeah,
because,
I don't either. Amos, did you catch this one?
Oh, I sure did.
And
was it your favorite?
are we, tell us why we're so wrong.
You're wrong, completely wrong, in that you think I'm going to have a reason that you're wrong.
Damn it.
The double reversal twist.
I agree completely. It started out with an interesting concept, you know, the visual storytelling, the guy running down the streets and the sniper action. I was surprised. This is like 3 times in the, you know, one of the things I mentioned in the first episode was that they didn't show the pain, the torment, the you know, the actual hitting. They kind of alluded to it. And here he actually shot, the bullet came out the gun and then the guy falls on the ground with blood. Like, you know, like, okay, all right, you're giving me something here. And then it just kind of, it had the same complaints I had the last episode where it stayed on a frame with no action for like a full 2 seconds. And then the action would come into frame and like, okay, well, you're just milking time now. And then the go-go gadget car, like, how come the same button does multiple things? Like, it's just, I don't know, things like that just
Well, see,
always
there's a control switch behind the wheel that you don't see that changes the keyboard layout. So,
yeah. And he happened to hit the right one before.
Oh yeah, there
went over
was
and
almost
pushed
like a
it.
drone thing that came out this time.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that cool?
It was the same button as the hook that hooked onto
No,
the
but
tree.
there's a motion gesture before the button, clearly.
Yeah, you forget that he said, Siri, activate this button.
Make this button drone, and then he presses the button.
Yeah, and then like at the end, you know, burning the town. Well, if that was an option, why didn't you just start with that?
I know, right? Like, really? Just gonna burn? Like, if no one can have, nobody can have it. Ha ha ha! I will rule over the wreckage.
I didn't realize there were so many bulls just ready to run at the moment's notice in South America. That was a news.
Yeah,
to me.
I thought that was more of a Spain thing. I know it exists in Central and South America. And by the way, a lot of this felt very Central America, not South America, despite the setting. But yeah, it's,
I don't know. It kind of is it just like Brian said, it piqued my interest at the beginning, and then as soon as it started falling off, it fell way off. And I just at the end of it, I watched about 5 minutes of the end with my eyes closed, and I think I remember most of it. Man, I could have used a nap instead.
well, the good news is we have the finale next, and the finale is rated 7.1. So at the higher end, not the 8 of the ultimate episode, but at the higher end, it is called Race Around the World Part 2. So we're actually going to, for the first time, watch the end of a story instead of part 1, although this poorly rated story was all self-contained.
Yeah, it was.
At least there's that to say for it. There was no part 2 that you were going to have to suffer through if you were a regular viewer. Going into the finale, how do you feel about our Speed Racer experience, high and low?
I feel like I wish it was. I feel like when we watched Land of the Lost, we discovered new levels of affordably priced production.
Yes.
It was delightful in how cardboard it was on the inside. It was surprising. This, I'm surprised that there's been virtually no surprises. The lore did not go deeper than I thought. I understand. Well, I mean, outside of the things that we remember, the theme song and the cool kind of 3D motion stuff, great in the intro package and the end. That's about it.
I mean, if I think back to 1977, there were 3 things I loved: my brand new baby brother, Gerald Ford, and Speed Racer. My brother still appeals to me at age 55. The other 2 have not weathered my appreciation so much, may have been more suited for the mind of a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
I would really like to know if this next episode, the final episode of the series, is an intended final series, or if it's just going to leave us on another cliff. Is it just another episode that just happens
If
to
I
be
were
the
to
last
guess, I would guess it's going to be self-contained, just like all the other ones. They all seem mix and matchable.
Yeah.
I don't recall. I know I've seen this episode. I know from loving Speed Racer, if you're only catching this episode, you should know I absolutely adored Speed Racer, would sing the theme song in my sleep when I was a kid. That the only thing that I remember as being important that we haven't encountered is Racer X. And who is Racer X and what is his real identity? We haven't touched on that at all in these 3 episodes. I have an inkling that Racer X probably plays a big part in Race Around the World Part 2, and that they probably, as they did with these kinds of shows, leave the door open to make more if they need to, but knew this would serve as a finale, and so have a little bit more of a final tone to them without being a series finale in the proper sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will find out when we watch this next week. Once again, season 1, episode 52, the very last episode of Speed Racer, Race Around the World Part 2. If you enjoy this concept, if you want to take part in this concept, maybe help us pick which shows we watch. We're going to be picking the next one shortly. You got to get After Talk. After Talk is the way. It is the light. It is the world. Become a patron and join After Talk at patreon.com/Cordkillers. And you'll also get these episodes earlier. That's patreon.com/Cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.